All right, good morning, everyone. Let's kick it off. All right, last night you can see solid session, very solid session. The S&P were up about 3/4 of 1%. Every sector really pushing higher across the board. It's really amazing to see what we've been witnessing the last couple of days. We're essentially kind of seeing almost the restart to an extent of a Cold War. I mean, there's been some really rough comments coming out. The head spokesperson for the government that essentially said over the weekend that they could turn the U.S. into radioactive dust, and things along those lines. Markets don't really seem very scared. Putin kind of comes out and makes a very, I think I heard some people saying yesterday, czarist type speech. Obviously kind of talking up what they're doing and saying that the world is against them for the wrong reasons, and the market continues to rally. Obviously, it kind of puts in the context where we are at the moment, an incredible bull market, and that the market can really absorb a lot. I personally have the feeling that we're going to struggle to continue to move higher going forward. I think there were people short going into the weekend, anticipating something big to happen, and when it didn't, I think that's what created the last couple of days. So we'll continue to see what where things are going to take us over the next few sessions. Today we're going to be looking at the Fed, the Fed meeting today, and seeing what they report, and see what kind of things come out of those statements. And then Asia, overnight we saw a bit of mixed action. The Nikkei up a little bit. The Shanghai actually down well over 1% on the close there. So you can see that some of those markets actually softened a little bit into the close. In fact, I'm looking at the Nikkei as we speak, and we're only up 0.3%. So definitely kind of softening into the final hours of the Asian session at the moment. These Chinese fears continuing to. I read something almost every single day that seems to be bearish China, and it kind of really reminds me, not to over dramatize it, but it really reminds me a lot of the 2007 build up into the crisis, where no one really realized how big of a deal it was until it was, and we're seeing the same sort of thing. I think one of the property developers yesterday defaulted on their obligations of about, I think, 2.3 billion yuan, closer to maybe $400 million. That's what they owed to the banks. They also owe another 1 point something billion yuan to other creditors. And you're starting to see a scramble there from some of the banks. I think some of the banks are realizing that they've got a hell of a lot of loans out there that are in jeopardy. You've seen the banking shares in China have really been decimated as of late there, and yeah, I mean, I can't remember the last day I've really seen China up. So it's kind of been to me, it continues to be the focus. I think it will continue to be the focus. You see copper softening again this morning, so we'll really have to continue to watch that story over the next few sessions. All right, this morning we've got Tencent, not this morning, sorry, today we've got Tencent coming out. I believe last time they came out sometime around midday. Don't have a time for you there. You can see there Bloomberg consensus is for headline earnings per share to be at 8.67 cents per share, and then we're looking for revenue of 60.21 billion there. If I can throw out some other numbers that we have from and guidance from some of the other major investment banks. We're going to look for non-GAAP EPS of maybe 2.38 versus Bloomberg consensus of 2.24. So if you want to jot those down, and probably top line to be coming in around 16.15 billion, which is a little bit lower than the Bloomberg consensus of 16.64. So all in all, I think if we remember last trading statement that we looked at, we're going to focus on what's important. Obviously, the gaming side of it important. We're also going to want to see, I think what's going to be important as well is, even if they can just kind of come close to in line, these things have been rallying. It's not just this one. Anything in the sector has been rallying on, even close to meeting expectations. That's how high that's how excited everyone is for this sort of space. So last time I think we had a bit of a small miss. We traded down that day. And then kind of really solidified toward the end of the day. Next 2 days, I think we're up 5% in Hong Kong. So just be careful out there with what happens here. If it's a small miss, you may start to see this thing find some footing and kind of react out the same way we did last time. All right. I know we had some Japanese trade balance numbers, which were worse than expected. We also had the all-industry activity index, which was a slight miss. We've got CPI here locally at 10. We've got BOE that's releasing minutes from its March meeting at 11:30. We've got the claimant count rate at 11:30, and as well as jobless claims there, and the ILO and unemployment rate. So later in the States, we've got mortgage apps, we've got current account balance, and we've got obviously the FOMC rate decision. And then here locally, we've got retail sales constant year over year at 1 o'clock. So keep in mind all of that. I think the big thing today is definitely going to be the 10-cent numbers. So keep your eyes peeled for when that might hit the wires. All right, let's jump into the maps. First thing we're going to have a look at here is MTN, which has had a hell of a run over the last few sessions. We really kind of popped up. We're almost, to an extent, we're looking like we were going to make a bit of a head and shoulders if we failed here closer to 205, and we kind of, messed around here between 203 and 206, call it, for, the better part of a week. We finally popped out 3 days ago. In fact, we actually even closed down yesterday quite badly. We were trading about 215 a couple minutes before the auction. We closed at 212.39. But bottom line is, we've definitely popped up above some sort of resistance here at 210, and maybe you can even look at some sort of descending trend line there that we've popped through. Either way, we've definitely broken out above a few levels here in MTN, and I think that I wouldn't be surprised to see us, so long as the market allows it, obviously, to come up and retest the recent highs in MTN. On the back of that, we'll look at Vodacom. In fact, looking very similar. And you can see here, same sort of thing, has that same sort of little, looked like was a bull flag setting up back in January and ended up breaking down out of that. If you kind of take that trend line across, it's basically right at where we closed in yesterday's session. This one's sort of lagging MTN a little bit, but the action of late is looking very, very similar. I think if we can pop up above this number here at about call it 126 on a closing basis, I think we definitely have a little bit more upside in Vodacom over the next few weeks. All right, if we look at FirstRand also making a bit of a bull flag here. Hasn't really popped out of the top properly because yesterday we had a bit of a weak close out of that. But bottom line is we're definitely setting up. I think the pattern's still bullish. I think you can still look at this one where we failed the other day. If it pops up above this, and we'll probably very quickly be testing this longer term trend line and probably have a chance to move a little bit higher. If we look at Sanlam broke out 2 weeks ago maybe, or 3 weeks ago even, and really it's just been kind of consolidating on top of the breakout here, and kind of also making a bit of a flag here. And I mean, you could potentially say that yesterday it popped over the top of this little flag. I'd still probably wait to see it get above 54 before I'd want to jump on the back of this, but I think if it gets above 54, I think you really can run with this one, and it could have a good bit more upside. And the last one I'm going to show is Naspers. Let's zoom this forward a little bit, and you can see here we did close below the 1180 level, but we managed to really reverse nicely off of the support, pushed to the upside yesterday. Tencent was down about 3% overnight in Hong Kong, so we'll probably be pushing up against 1180 sometime in this morning session. And the reason why I wanted to show it as well is obviously because of earnings there. When those earnings come out, if they're a big miss, if we drop 1180, we're gonna look for probably a move down closer to the 1100 level, which you can see there is reasonably well defined. I'll be looking for a good move down to 1100 if we get bad earnings today, before you could really look to start to pick this stock up again. Obviously, if we get good numbers, then we'll probably reverse. The first real level of resistance is going to be up here around 1250, which is really would be a bit of a gap fill to some sort of resistance. Obviously, the full gap fill would be a lot higher, but 1250 would be the first level I'd be looking for. And that's it for today, guys. Thanks a lot.